Hi everybody, Greg Hennessy here. We're going to dive into some more spreadsheet lessons today. The last lesson we looked at the real basics of spreadsheets, adding data to cells, what the interface is like using basic functions, and doing some formatting and also some validation so you can have things like dropdowns. If you haven't seen that video, go check it out. Um, super good place to start if you've never spreadsheeted before. Today we're gonna keep kind of going off that lesson. Get that spreadsheet open, or if you haven't, just check the link down below and you can get this Google Doc and just kind of start from there. So today we're going to be doing some lookups. Lookups are really important for spreadsheeting in general. Um, it's basically like if you were building a fantasy simulator, like let's say an RPG, and you're kind of you've got a hero that has levels, and you want to get the hero's health at level 20 because you want to do some balancing around damage for a creature at level 20. That's the kind of thing you can do at various different places in your spreadsheet. So that's sort of the meat and bones of what spreadsheeting is basically formulas, equations, and looking up data. So with no further ado, please go open up your spreadsheet and follow along. So here we go. This is kind of where we left off last time. We're looking up some information here where we're you know referencing these cells, and we're gonna do some different ones today. So there's a bunch of ways to do this. Um, I'll show you the ones that you'll probably see the most common, and then I'll show you my preferred way that I think is maybe not the best, but I think it's quite powerful and flexible, but a little bit more complex. So get prepared to kind of get into some complexity today. So the first way to look up information, what we're gonna do is kind of reference this range up here, and we're gonna look up some data there. We're gonna just kind of play around in this area here. It's not gonna be permanent. We're gonna delete this. This is just for play. So the first thing we're gonna look, and I'm gonna just type this here, is VLOOKUP. I can type. There we go. We're doing this raw, folks. So VLOOKUP. What is VLOOKUP? So VLOOKUP is a way to look up data vertically. So vertically in a spreadsheet means in a column. So let's we're gonna look up. Actually, I'm gonna copy this validation up here, and I'm gonna put it there so we can play around and show you some stuff. So let's just take a look at VLOOKUP. So I'm gonna select the cell here, and I'm gonna push enter, and I'm gonna start typing in VLOOKUP, and hey, there it is, pops up. So VLOOKUP is a function, and it's gonna take a couple of properties. So the first one is a search key. It's a thing you're gonna look for. The second is a range. It's the area you want to look in. The third is an index. And the last is an optional one that is sorted. So let's dig into that a little bit. So what is, the first two kind of make sense. What is index? So index is going to return a value from a column by number. And we'll get into that a little bit more in a second. And then the last is sorted is asking if your data is sorted in some sort of ascending or descending value. I always just put false in there because usually my data is not. So we'll just do that today. So let's play around with this. So the key we want to search for is iron. So I'm going to select iron. I'm going to click on that. It's H10. And I'm going to hit F4. Remember F4, most important button. You don't really need it right now, but it's just locking that value in as an absolute so it doesn't change in any way because we always want it to reference the cell. And then I'm going to hit comma, and we're going to look for a range. So the range we said is this whole one, so I'm going to drag and select that whole range, A1 to H6. And I'm going to lock that, so F4 again. Don't want it to change. Want to always just refer to that range. Then the next one is an index. So what we want to do is maybe look up um, the town one min of of one of these resources. So the town one min, if you look in this range, basically we're going to put a number in here. And the number is going to be the column number starting from the left. So this will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we want column 3. So we're going to put 3 in there. And like I said, I'm going to put the last value as false. So if we hit enter, that should give us the town 1 min for iron. Cool. There it is. So part of why this is really important now, if you click on this validation and you change this to gold, it's gonna look up exactly that value for the town 1 min. And that's why this search key is really important. It adds a lot of flexibility for your spreadsheets to be able to do a ton of things based on really dynamic sort of data. So super cool. So the things that are good about this is it's a pretty simple sort of function. Makes a lot of sense. The part that I don't love about it always is that it's one dimensional, so it's only looking in one like vector of, like, it can either look up horizontally or vertically in one column basically. So for beginners, you're going to see this a lot in spreadsheets, probably from other people and other designers. It's not bad function. It works. Um, this column number can also be a little bit tricky sometimes. So that's something we'll look up in a moment. But yeah. So now I'm going to show you. Let's see. Let's do this. So town 1 min. I'm gonna just copy town 1 min and I'm gonna paste it here, and that's fine. The formatting can be there. This is just temporary test. So we're gonna do an HLOOKUP now. HLOOKUP. So similar to VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP is gonna look pretty similar to that. So if we push equals and then start looking HLOOKUP, look at that. It's gonna look for a search key, a range, an index, and whether it's sorted. This time the index is a row number. So let's dig in there. So what we're going to search is town 1 min, and we're going to select this range, and remember F4 to make that absolute. And index this time we're going to look at a row number. So we're going to look at the first sort of real set of data in the table in the range. So that's going to be row number 2. So 1, 2. Even if this was like a different range here, that could be like, this would be 1, 2 kind of thing. We're not going to do that. Don't worry about that. So I'm going to just delete that, put 2 in there, and then false because it's not sorted. And that's also going to give us 10. So if we change this to like town 1 min max or something now, and we could actually apply validation to those if we wanted, so you had to drop down, etc. This is what it's gonna, this is what it's gonna do for you. Awesome. So both of those work. They could work potentially even better with another function. So part of what is hard with this function or doesn't work is this sort of fixed number. So like if I wanted to get data that actually I'm going to do something different here. Sorry, rewind for 1 second. I'm going to delete this. So function breaks. Makes sense. I'm going to hit equals and I'm going to just select town 1 min. There we go. So now it's just referencing exactly what's there, and we can change this reference in the future if we want to, which we're going to do for some different stuff. So yeah, back to this. This function's okay. This 3 is kind of like weird though, because like you'd have to know which column you're looking for, and if you like shifted things around, it would break. So there's another function called match that we're going to use. So match, what it does is it's going to return a row or column number of the closest matching value that you're looking for. So in this case, we want to get, let's say in the VLOOKUP, we want to get a match of the column of town 1 min. So let's take a look at match. So if I type in equals and then match, it's going to bring up the match function. And search key, range, and search type is what it looks for. So it's pretty small, but we're going to get search key, we're going to look up a range, and we'll get into search type in a moment. Don't worry about that too much yet. Here's an example. So it's looking up Sunday in columns A2 to A9, and 0 finds the exact value in the range when it's unsorted. So 0 is usually what you want to use there for search type. So let's try this. So the search key we want to look for, because we want to get a column number, is this, town 1 min. And I'm going to lock that in. And then the range that we're going to use, you don't have to use the whole range like normal. You could just select the top sort of headers, as long as the size of that range is the same as the size of the range within VLOOKUP, the width, then you're okay. So as long as it goes from A to H, you're okay. If it was like A to F or like B to H, it would break. So always make sure that your match is the same size as the array or range that you're looking up in. Okay. And then I'm going to put 0 in there. And so let's see what this does. That returns 3. That's pretty great, right? And why this is great, because that's the number of the column it's in. I'm going to just copy this, not the equal sign, but just the whole thing. And then if we go back to our VLOOKUP, where it's 3 here, we can just put that in, and it's gonna say the same thing. But now if I change this reference to like town 2 max and change this to silver, you're gonna be able to really dynamically look up that data, which is awesome. And we could do the exact same thing for HLOOKUP if we wanted to. I'm not going to do that though. We're gonna leave that one alone. Instead, now we're going to go into what is my favorite, and it's called index. So what you're going to do is use this function called index and match together. And why I like this is because what index does is it's actually a two-dimensional lookup. So you can look up for both vertically and horizontally. Unlike VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP, you can look up both of those numbers kind of very dynamically and simultaneously. And so actually let's do this. I'm gonna move index down a little bit. Oops. And actually something I haven't showed you guys yet. We're gonna take a quick pause here. Is if you select this whole range, you'll see this blue line around it. And if you kind of mouse over the border, you'll see the grabby hand. If you grab and drag, you can just change where those values go. And this is really helpful. I think that most of the time I never get my formatting right away, so it's nice to be able to flexibly just move things around as you're going. So there's another little tip for you. Okay. So index I'm going to just like bring down a little bit, and let's play with some stuff. So the first thing is I'm going to do equals over here, and we're going to look up index. Content of cell specified by the row and column offset. Okay, that's a mouthful. Oops. And let's click on this and see what it says. Returns the contents of the cell. Yep. So what again it's going to do is we're going to pass in an array. Remember, an array is it's a range. It is a two-dimensional range usually, where you'll get like columns A1 to H6 kind of thing. So that's what we're going to pass in there. And we're going to keep on trucking and playing with this. Actually, give me one second. All right. Cool. So this is where we want to be. It's getting to the point where I have to like think a little bit. Like I said, this is a bit complex, and it's going to take practice getting good at using this too. It's not overnight. So I suggest you play with it, try it, come back and check this video out again. I'll leave some references for how to use this as well. So yeah. So this is the range we're going to be looking in, right? So A1 to H6. And then we want to look up a row and a column. So if I just put in some numbers for now, so if we put in row 2 and column 2, what do you imagine that would return? Well, there we see 0.1. So it would return this. So we're looking at row 2 and column 2. Now, if you were able to kind of look up those numbers of the rows and columns, that would be even better. So we can do that. We have this match function, right? Match. So we're going to do match, and we're going to do match here, and I'm going to just break them up a little bit just to make it easier for you, and then we'll combine them. So the first thing we're going to do is going to match the row and then the column like this. So the match for the row we want to match with is this key. And in the range, remember we have to select it the same height for vertical. And I'm going to put 0 in there for matching with the closest or exact. And I'm going to hit enter. So that gave me 4. Why did that give me 4? Row 4, 1, 2. Oh, because it's gold. That's right. I was thinking it was iron. So if it was iron, it should be 2. There we go. So gold. Great. So that's right. So the next thing that we want to do is look up the column. So very similar. We're going to match equals match. And we're going to put in the town 2 max. That's what we want. And lock that in, F4. And then we just need to select the range, the exact row that all of the titles are in, and it has to be the same width as our index function array, and hit 0. So that should be 6. There we go, town 2 max. That looks about right. And then we're going to combine those. So let's do the full index match. So this is called index match. And then if I go equals, so we're going to do index again, and we're going to look up this whole range. We want to look up information inside of, lock that in, F4, comma, and then row, we want this, and column, we want this, hit enter. So town 2 max for gold is 5. That's right. If we change this to platinum, town 2 max for platinum is 2. That's right. If we change this to town 3 max, you can see now that's changing there. Awesome. So the last one, we're going to combine full index match. So right now it's actually really good while you're learning to kind of break things up like this, because it can be really hard to look at bigger functions. But we're going to make a bigger function now. So follow along, do your best, come back, watch this, pause, take a look at the formula if you need to think about it. So what we're going to do is the full index match. Now we're going to do index, and we're going to do the full range here, lock that in, F4, comma. Then instead of referring to a number or a cell that returns a number, we're going to just do the match function inside of the index function, which will also work. So I'm going to do match inside of here. So the first thing in the index is the row. So we're matching the row, and we want to match with this cell here. So whatever the value in the cell is, we're looking up inside of here for the same one. And then we want to match within this vertically, same height. You can see, so the nice thing if you're doing it in the same function is you can see the both sort of arrays here. And then 0 for find the exact value. And then we're going to put a comma, so close brackets. So that's the match function, and then a comma. And then we need to look up the column. So the same thing, we're going to put a match in here, and we're going to match with this value here. Lock that in, comma, and then we're going to search up here. Again, look, you can see the three arrays that we're using in this function really clearly, really nicely. You can see that they're all the same size. Excellent. I'm going to lock that in 0 as well, close brackets, and then finally index close brackets. So I'm going to hit enter, boom. That gives us the same info. It looks right. And then if I drop down and go gold, awesome. If I change this to be B1, that's the gold cost. Oop, that's not what I want. Let's do C1. Let's do that. So town 1 min, gold, silver, iron. Pretty nice. Okay, so that's really complex. Please stop for a moment, play around, have a look at this function up here as well. You know, when you click on this, you can see it up here, and I can just drop this in. I'm going to show you something else that might help you organize your functions too as they get big. So if you know this is kind of weird to look at, you can actually, pardon me, put these on different lines. So if I just and it will work. So if I break up, you know, index wants 3 values. If I do the first one, index first value is alt enter. So I just put the cursor right there, alt enter, after the comma, alt enter, after the comma, alt enter. There you go. So whoops, it might be, and then I use my mouse button to do something funky. So it might be, there we go, I can put 1. Oops. So it might be easier to read it like this for you. If not, it's okay. I just want you to know that that's an option. Sometimes you're gonna get like a really big, meaty functions in there. And it's just a little easier to do that. You can see it down here also, and I can hit enter, and it works. Great. So this is really important. This is probably the most important piece of like lookup technology that you'll have. And it's really important to remember how to do this. So we're gonna do the same thing that we did over here with a method to now. So we're gonna do method to index match. You could do this with VLOOKUP as well if you wanted to. You know, maybe try that just for fun, just to test yourself. And I'm gonna copy this header and paste that there. So just a reminder, if I copy those cells and I paste in just one cell, it'll push everything over. You'll paste the full thing, and I'm gonna paste these ones as well. Awesome. So I'm gonna show you a couple more things in this as well. We're gonna get a little bit more tricky. I think that what we're gonna do is probably do something called concatenation. Concatenation. I think that's the way you say it, concatenation. What that is it's combining two separate values together. And I'm going to just show you that really quickly so that you can understand. So if we had, you know, what we're going to use that to do is to get the word town 1 min, town 1 max, or town 2 min, town 2 max from these town 2s. So we only have town 1, 2, and 3, but we don't have the min and max. So if I typed in town 1 down here, and this is just for demo as well, and min and let's do this. Min here, max here. We're going to concatenate these. So there's an operation. So when you do like 1 plus 1, if you do equal 1 plus 1, that's an operation. The operation we're going to use is an ampersand. So the ampersand is going to take two things and put them together. So I'm going to do town 1, F4, lock that in, and then I'm going to do an ampersand, and then I'm going to do min and lock that in. Hit enter, you have town 1 min. But that's not totally great, right? Like there's something wrong. So town 1 space min. Here we don't have a space. That's because these strings don't have a space at the beginning. I don't think I really want to add a space here either, because that could make things a little funky. So the best thing I can actually do is come in here, and if I put in a in quotations space, quotation, close quotation, and then and, that will give me a space. So what I just did there, when you enter this into any cell, this is just a string. So a string is just text basically, and anything in between the quotations is returned as that text. So I could, I could do this equals just actually no, I won't do it there. I'll do it over here. Equals quotation town one quotation, right? So it just returns town one. Great. But the cool part of that, like back to this, is it's, this is returning a string. It's concatenating it with a new string with a space, and then concatenating it with another string. And actually, I'm gonna push F4 again, and I'm gonna push it one more time just to lock the column, but not the row. And I'm gonna drag this down. So click on it, click on the dot, drag it down, and it's gonna concatenate and create town one max there. So concatenation can just combines values, and we're going to use a little bit of that in the next thing here. So hopefully you understand that. If not, please just rewind, watch it again, or play with the ampersand. Equals, remember, starts the function, and then that's going to return something, and you can return, anything, concatenate it with anything else, and that's what it will look like. Okay, so over here, let's start playing around with this. So what we want to do again is get the averages of town one's various resources. So we're going to have to do a pretty big function in here actually. So we're going to have to do a big function. So let's pay attention to this. Let's try our best. Follow along. Good luck. If you have questions, please post them down below. If you're stuck, please post them down below, and I'll try to get to your questions. So the first thing we're going to do is something like we're going to try to look up the resource type. So we're going to look up, click this, equals, and I'm going to start with an index match. So we're going to have to do two index matches because we need two values, right? We're going to need the min and max in order to make the average. So if I do index, and I'm going to look in this whole range, right? F4 to lock that in, and then I'm going to put a comma, and then I'm going to match. So I want to match the row first. So the rows that I'm going to be looking up and down in a column, the row number is going to be the same as this value. And I'm not going to lock that in actually. I'm going to push F4 3 times. So I'm going to lock the column so I don't pull it over this way, but not the row because I want to drag this down after and have all of these do the same thing. So comma. So I'm looking for this, and I'm looking for it in this range. But I am going to lock that one in and return the exact match, so 0. And then we have to look up, this is where we're going to start to do some concatenation. So now we're going to do another match inside of this index, just like we did over here. And we're going to match town 1. And I'm going to push F4 twice, so that's a full lock. Now I'm just locking the row and not the column. And why that is because I want to later drag this function over to the right and have this work just as it does for the other towns. So you'll see what I mean in a moment, but just trust me, twice, so you're going to not lock, so just be $18. So we lock the row. Okay. And we're gonna search for actually we're not gonna just search for B18. We want to look for the town 1 min. So here's where we concatenate. So we know that this is going to return town 1 right now. I'm going to add an ampersand just after it, space ampersand, and then in quotations I'm going to add space min. So that will return town 1 min. I'm going to put a colon, and then we're going to look at town 1 min in this range. And I'm going to lock that one in F4 just once, and the exact match, so 0. Close brackets, close brackets. So closing brackets once closes the match, closing brackets twice closes the index. So I'm going to hit enter. Boom. Okay, great. That's getting us town 1 mins there. So we've got the first value. Now we just need the max. And it gets a little easier from here because we're going to wrap this all up inside of an average. So the first thing I'm going to do is come up here into the function area, and I'm going to copy from everything after the equals sign. So I'm going to copy that, Control C, highlight it, Control C. I'm going to go space. And before it, at the front, I'm going to go there and I'm going to type an average. Okay, so opens brackets and it's going to accept one number, and then I'm going to put a colon, and I'm actually going to just paste that whole thing again, and then Control V there, and then close that. And the only thing we need to change now is max, min to max. So it's going to get those two values, min and max, in here, and it's going to return them both, and then it's going to average them. So look at that 15. That matches, right? Boom. If we change this to gold. Oh, that broke. I did something bad. Well, we'll look at that in a moment. And then if I drag this down, oh yeah, gold is 2, never mind. I was good. Yeah, so if we drag that down, because we didn't lock this first row here, it's going to kind of naturally look down into the next row, and it's going to get that value, and then this one will show us it's still there. Town 1 is locked. The row is locked, but not the column. And why that is because now I can drag these over this way, and that should get us those values. And if I select these two, boom, look at that, beautiful. We only had to do that once up here. So it is a little bit of practice knowing what you need to lock and not lock. And I'm sure even in your kind of experiment right now, maybe something went wrong. Always go back and make sure that you're referring to the right, cells and everything like that. Make sure as you practice this, as you drag, functions around and kind of like expose them and stuff and make them bigger and smaller, then you're just going to learn. Just practice which rows and which cells to lock. When we want to drag things this way, that means that we're going to want this row locked, but not these columns. When we want to drag things this way, that means the values we're looking for, we want to lock the row so that when we drag it this way, it doesn't go over. But we don't want to lock the rows. So again, just practice, and then we're going to do the total average again, which is just a sum of all the averages. Is it a sum? Did we sum it? No, we did an average of the averages. Actually, probably want to. I did a sum there. Maybe last video I did a sum, but this is the total average. So we're just adding the averages together. So the total amount from all towns, the averaged, is this much. I think we actually want to do that up here too. So I'm going to delete these, boom, delete, and do sum. And actually, yeah, just to practice the locking here, we can lock the column, but not the rows. So the letters are locked, have a $sign before them, but the numbers don't. Enter. And drag that down, boom. And this has decimal 00, we don't need that. And a way you can do that is if you come up here, you can increase decimal places. We don't want to do that. You can decrease decimal places though, and we can do that. And just to show you something really, really fancy, if you do like 3.14 here, and you decrease the decimal places, it'll just round it. If we made this 3.66, it'll round it up to 4. So it's a way of rounding. It's not really rounded because that value is still there, but it's just a quick way. There's some other ways to round. We'll get into that in the future, but don't worry about that too much. Okay, so here you go. This is the lesson today. I'll post it down below. So you can come into the sheet and look at it, everything if you want to, and just get a sense for everything we did. Good luck. This is starting to get into the real meat of what a game designer would be doing on a regular basis. So really spend the time to learn index match. Index match. That's going to be one of the most important things. VLOOKUP is great too. You're going to see that a lot. You're going to use it a lot, but my recommendation is always to use index match. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for sticking through this. If you like this, please subscribe. Please like it. That whole thing. Really appreciate it. And I'm going to keep putting out more spreadsheet content in the future. Take care.